Level 1, the curious kid. You're 8. You're sitting in the back of a maths class that smells like whiteboard markers and boredom. The teacher writes 7 times 8 on the board and asks the class. Everyone freezes. You don't. Not because you memorized it. Because you broke it apart. 7 times 8 is just 7 times 4. Doubled, 56. The teacher looks surprised. You don't understand why. You thought everyone did it that way? You go home and play with numbers the way other kids play with Lego. Not for marks, not for approval. Just because the pieces snap together in ways that feel satisfying. But nobody around you gets it. Your parents say, you're good at maths, the same way they'd say, you're good at spelling. Like, it's a neat trick, not a way of seeing the world. Level 2, the top of the class. You're 15. You finished the exam in 22 minutes. The paper was meant to take an hour. You spend the rest of the time sitting there, pretending to check your work, watching the other students chew their pens. You already know you got everything right. You don't say that. You've learned not to say that. Your teacher tells your parents you have a gift. You get moved into advanced classes. For the first time, you're around other people who actually enjoy this. It feels like finding your species. But there's a creeping feeling too. You're the best in your school, maybe your city. But you have no idea how big the world is yet. Level 3, the undergrad. You're 19, first week of university. You sit down in your first real mathematics lecture, and within 20 minutes, you're lost. Not confused lost, fundamentally lost, like the floor dropped out. Before, maths was something you did to problems. Now it's something you build from scratch. Axioms, proofs, structure. Your lecturer proves that there are different sizes of infinity before lunch on a Tuesday. You walk outside and stand in the courtyard for a while. You're not the smartest in the room anymore. There are people here who've been doing competition mathematics since they were 12. One girl in your tutorial solves problems in her head while appearing to listen to other things. It's humbling. It's also the most alive you've felt. You start to understand that what you had before wasn't mathematics. It was arithmetic with a confidence problem. Level 4, the honors student. You're 22. You're writing a thesis on a problem almost no one in the world cares about, and you've never been more focused in your life. It's a small problem. A narrow question about a specific property of a specific class of mathematical objects, but it's yours. You own every corner of it. You know the literature. You know the failed approaches. You know why it's hard. You spend 3 weeks stuck on a single step in your proof. Not stuck like frustrated, stuck like haunted. You wake up at 3 a.m. and scribble things on your phone. You think about it in the shower. You dream about commutative diagrams. Then one afternoon, on a walk, it breaks open. The insight arrives like a pressure release. You run back to your desk. The proof holds. You feel like a mathematician for the first time. Level 5, the PhD student. You're 26. You are 4 years into a degree that was meant to take 3. Your stipend is $28,000 a year. Your friends from school are buying houses. You are eating pasta and reading papers from 1963 at midnight in a shared office. But here's the thing nobody tells you about a PhD. You are doing something that has never been done. Every day you push against the edge of human knowledge. Not the edge of your knowledge, the edge of everyone's knowledge, the whole species. That is either thrilling or terrifying depending on the day, and sometimes it's both before breakfast. Your supervisor asks you a question in a meeting that you can't answer. You go home and spend 2 weeks becoming the world's foremost expert on that specific sub-question. You come back with 14 pages. He reads them, nods once. Good, he says. That's the whole feedback. Level 6, the postdoc. You're 31. You have published 3 papers. You have a 1-year contract at a university in a city you did not choose. You are technically a professional mathematician. You are also technically one bad hiring cycle from leaving academia entirely. This is the culling level. Most people who make it to here don't make it through. Not because they lack intelligence. The people who wash out at postdoc are brilliant. It's stamina. It's tolerance for uncertainty. It's willingness to keep building something when the ground keeps moving under you. You give a talk at a conference and a well-known professor in your field asks a pointed question afterward. Later, over drinks, they tell you your approach is interesting. You spend the next month trying to figure out if interesting was a compliment. You move cities again. You keep going. Level 7, the professor. You're 38. You have tenure. For the first time in your adult life, nobody can fire you. You sit in your office, your permanent office, and you feel something you haven't felt since you were 8 years old, sitting in that maths class. Pure, clean time to think. You have a research group now. PhD students come to you with problems and you guide them the way your supervisor once guided you. Mostly by asking questions that make them smarter. You watch them struggle with the same walls you hit. You don't give them the answers. The struggle is the point. Your papers are cited. People reference your work in their work. Ideas you had in a notebook in 2019 are now load-bearing parts of other people's proofs. Your name appears in footnotes you will never read, in papers written in languages you don't speak. You think about Ramanujan, about Noether, about all the people who did this before you and left pieces of their mind behind in the literature, permanent and unchanging, long after everything else about them is gone. You are part of that now. It's a strange feeling. Not pride exactly, more like continuity. Level 8, the one who finds something. You're 47. You've been working on the same problem in different forms for 9 years. It started as a side interest, a question that wouldn't leave you alone. You've published other things, supervised students, sat on committees, reviewed papers, but always in the background, this problem. The night you crack it, you're alone in your office at 11 p.m. There's no dramatic music. There's no lightning moment. It's more like you've been cleaning a grimy window for a decade, and suddenly you can see through it clearly. You check it again, go home, sleep on it, come back. It holds. You send an email to 3 colleagues you trust. You say, I think I have something. Can you look? 2 weeks later, one of them calls you. His voice sounds strange. This is real, he says. Level 9, the legacy. You're 61. The result you found at 47 has been built upon, extended, applied to problems you never imagined. A younger mathematician used it to resolve a conjecture that had been open since 1974. Another used it to do something in quantum computing you don't fully understand. You didn't do those things, but you laid the stone they stood on. You're invited to give a plenary lecture at the International Congress of Mathematicians. 5,000 people in the room. You've been to this conference a dozen times. You've always been in the audience. You walk to the podium. You think about a classroom, a whiteboard, a teacher who gave the class a problem to keep them busy. You think about Gauss, 8 years old, seeing the pattern that nobody else saw. You think about all the levels, the pasta dinners and the midnight scribbling and the 1-year contracts and the wrong turns and the 9-year problem and the phone call from your colleague. You start to speak. The room goes quiet. This is what mathematics looks like from the inside. Not a series of answers. a series of better questions, each one harder and more beautiful than the last. A life built around the act of not knowing and refusing to stop. Most people never find the thing they do for free, forever, even if it costs them everything.